Prize.
Good evening, everybody. You are listening to episode 140 of the Straight Shooters podcast here live on YouTube tonight from a snowy Philadelphia area and South Jersey area where Bryan's at right now. Apparently, it's worse over there from what I hear
Yeah,
than it is here. Yeah, but
I can't hit any stages tonight, man. I'm a little pissed.
No, I hear you. And that obviously is the third man, Bryan Isley. And we are joined this week by Adrian Fedkiw of PhillyInfluencer.com and the Bitter Birds, our Eagles reporter. We lost one Eagles guy. We had to get another Eagles guy. Unfortunately, Vaughn Johnson will not be with us this week. He is on a company retreat with the Philadelphia Eagles, but the Poconos. So I'm sure he's having a lot of fun then. But I wanted to continue, especially after the huge news from yesterday. I wanted to continue doing this, have a live show, and while Vaughn is enjoying himself up at the Poconos. I don't know how much snow they're getting, but I know look out the window right to my left. It's about 6 inches to 7 inches right now, and it's not supposed to stop anytime soon. So, and I forgot the date. It's Wednesday, March 21st. We usually have that set, but sorry, Vaughn, if I let you down there, but
no, he has way worse introductions than that. Come on, Nick.
And he blames me for it too, but I digress.
It's fine.
You know what? Remember the episode where he got the month wrong because I was wrong on the paper?
Yeah, that was.
That's hilarious. Sorry for bringing that up on. Actually, no, I'm not. That was hilarious. So it's Wednesday, March 21st right now as we record, but Tuesday, March 20th was probably one of the biggest days in recent wrestling history based off what happened with Daniel Bryan, the current SmackDown general manager, who was cleared finally after 2 years by WWE doctors. If you watched SmackDown last night, you saw his promo in the beginning of the show, which was actually really cool. I thought they did a good thing. They split up his comeback promo and then what he had going on with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, saved that for the end of the show. So his original promo when it came out, he just basically was real with everyone, addressed the situation, what's been going on the last 2 years with him. He was forced to retire in 2016, January, or February. I don't remember. I know it was early in the year. And, everyone was
It was around this time because I'm starting to see like reposts and stuff like that on my page regarding Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
So it was around this time.
Yeah. And, I was like bummed out, but at the same time, as I grow up from being a wrestling fan into knowing what these guys go through day in and day out, I was it was more of a bittersweet feeling. I was like, at least he'll be okay. Like he won't put himself in harm's way of getting hurt again. His multiple concussions really led up to WWE deciding that they weren't going to clear him anymore. Much like current day, apparently there's a situation with Paige where it's been reported that they're not going to clear her anymore to compete inside the ring. Who knows where that's going? I know it has something to do with her neck. I don't know if it's necessarily concussions, but that's, rumor and innuendo. Thanks a lot, Conrad and Bruce, for adding that to my vernacular. I'm going to have to use that more often, but maybe try not to bite off them a little bit because we the straight shooters, baby. So I have to admit, I want to, and I'll get to you, Bryan, and then Adrian, your reactions to when you found out Daniel Bryan was cleared. But yesterday when I sat there, I got the alert on my phone. Honestly, I think I was just perusing Twitter and I saw the guy from Sports Illustrated, Jimmy Traina, his tweet is like, it said something like WWE just sent out a press or sent out a media alert saying they cleared Daniel Bryan. And I'm like, what? And Jimmy's got I follow him. He's got a pretty good track record. I follow him pretty closely in the wrestling social media world. So I think one of the first responses I got was from Turtle over at WIP, who we've had on the show in the past, and he said, "Is this guy legit?" So he doesn't have I guess he doesn't have a great track record with every wrestling fan, but it's something that I don't think he would obviously tweet that out unless he received something from WWE. Then I started seeing a lot of the other wrestling media personalities tweet it out. A few minutes later, WWE from their own Twitter account tweeted it out. So I'm sitting there and I'm talking to my friend who was just perusing through Twitter, and I'm literally getting goosebumps like as I'm talking to him. And we're not even talking about wrestling. We're talking about something completely different. And I had to stop the conversation. And I'm like, dude, just like, I got to stop you right here. I have to tell you, Daniel Bryan just got cleared by WWE. Like, I'm getting goosebumps. Like, and explain to him, he used to watch wrestling a lot back in the Attitude Era when obviously Stone Cold Steve Austin was big, The Rock was big, and Triple H. And those are like three guys that he really gravitates towards. So he doesn't watch it too much now. But I kind of explained to him, I was like, listen, he's like this era's Stone Cold Steve Austin. People love this guy. He can do no wrong. You could try to turn him heel, and no one's ever going to boo him again. And I was literally getting goosebumps. He's like, that's actually pretty cool. That's a cool story. I told him about his, history, the last 2 years, how emotional he's been in, certain interviews. Hey, just look at last night on SmackDown. He was emotional a lot, and no one can blame him. I don't blame him at all. And so that was my first reaction. I got goosebumps. And like, instead of typing up something to post as just like hey, Daniel Bryan was cleared, I wanted to sit on it. I wanted to watch SmackDown first and collect my thoughts a little bit. So I'm going to write something on that, either on Philly Influencer or my Medium page, about my thoughts on him coming back, what happened last night, which we'll get into, and that. But that was my first reaction. Bryan, how did you find out? I hope it wasn't from my text. But...
It was from your text. It was from your text, which is fine. Yeah. It was my reaction to that was much better than when you told me that Jason Jordan was Kurt Angle's son. So yeah, it was fantastic. It's great to see, because this is a guy that's over. He's super over. So he connects with the fans. Maybe they won't try to shove Roman Reigns down our throats as much. Brock looks like he doesn't give a damn anymore. So,
we talked about that actually.
Yeah, all jokes aside, he looks pretty bad right now. Like, as far as physical condition is concerned. And that's what happens when you show up for programming once every other month. You tend not to care. So you got a guy who's loved by almost everybody in the WWE universe. So to have that guy come back, Cena is on the decline. It might be almost over for him. So to have a guy like that can put butts in the seats, bring people to the television, and have people genuinely excited to see him, that's great. And it's a break for WWE, because superstars have been getting injured, superstars have been getting fired, superstars have been leaving. So to have a guy that's beloved by everybody coming back is awesome for them.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it's not even just WWE fans. I think every fan in general. You had all the wrestlers tweeting out like how awesome it was, all the indie wrestlers, and it's a fun time to think about, because his contract apparently comes to an end September 1st. So, and he hasn't agreed to a new deal. I would assume that WWE is going to do everything in their power to keep him. And it might be smart for him to, maybe money wise, they'll probably pay him more than he'd get on the indies, just because of his name now than compared to maybe like 8 years ago. But so Adrian, and by the way, Adrian, he does a great job on his Eagles videos with the Bitter Birds. So go over to YouTube, subscribe to them, the Bitter Birds. And he also told us off the air he's doing pay-per-view recaps now.
I am, and people are actually watching it. I'm barely surprised. But The thing that got me yesterday with the promo, when you fight for your dreams, sometimes the dreams fight back. And you just think about everything that Daniel Bryan has done in the last year with all of the hyperbaric treatments and working so hard to get cleared. Finally, yes, yes, yes. It has finally happened. He's back in the WWE ring. You know, I remember I went to the Royal Rumble, and there was a lot of talk then that maybe he'd come out and be an entrant in the Royal Rumble. Obviously, didn't happen. But that's when it kind of started, the talk of him potentially returning. And now he's back. And you think about the dream matches, because there's been so many guys that have come in since he's retired. Bryan versus AJ Styles, Bryan versus Nakamura, Bryan versus even Gargano once he comes up, Bryan versus Angle, Bryan versus Zayn, versus Omega if he ever comes to WWE. Just so much that you can do with Daniel Bryan. And it'll be interesting to see, too, kind of how his style changes, because now every time he gets dropped on his head, you're going to cringe. So I would assume, obviously, that he would bring in a more cautious style. But, man, this is awesome. Daniel Bryan is back.
Yeah, and, dude, I was right there with you. I was hoping he would come out at the Royal Rumble. I wasn't, like, upset that he didn't, but at the same time, what happened at Clash of the Champions, man? He got physically involved. It wasn't a lot. He was moving around, you know, getting shoved, shoving people back, you know. It was more than he was doing ever as SmackDown GM. And that, I think, really planted the seed for, especially at the Rumble. It was like a month later where people were like, this could actually be happening. And according to, you know, reports out there, maybe even WWE themselves, or Meltzer, you know, Dave Meltzer, the great one, I guess. I don't know if he likes to be referred to that, but, you know, whatever. He had said that it actually, Bryan wasn't cleared maybe about until an hour before they officially announced it. So, but I think maybe they put that date on purpose, that they were gonna check him March 20th. Maybe they had a feeling that he was going to be cleared, and maybe it was just, you know, they had to cross their T's and dot their I's. But I feel like they had a feeling this was going to happen just based on how involved he was, based on the storyline. You know, that there were a lot of things they did with him leading up to this point that makes sense. If he was cleared, and even if he wasn't, you know, it was kind of, you know, he went home for a few weeks, you know, it really made sense. And that, I think, when he went, quote unquote, went home, this is what we were going to get, you know. And you know, I'm just thrilled. Like you said, he has a lot of options on the table. I did read a report that he's not going to come back full time, which understandable. You know, it'd be like kind of like a Randy Orton type schedule where he's here more than Brock, which I think even the Undertaker's here more than Brock, but that's for discussion for another day. And you know, it's just really cool to have him back. So I think we all kind of had the same reaction. But millions of other people had the same reaction. So I want to shift from just the fact that he's back and how great it is for, I think, the company and for him personally. Brie Bella got there's no doubt that he was shooting, you know, on that promo last night. Like he teared up multiple times talking about her. I'm sure she was like, no, like, you're not quitting, you're not doing this, like, get your dreams, you know, go to your dreams, whatever. Shift to the end of SmackDown. He got his ass beat.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
How about those bumps he's taking? You know, just gets cleared. He's taking power bombs on the apron.
And you know what? It's Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They had to do it like that. Like, was there a time where I was like wincing, like, yeah, I don't know. Bryan was, but you know, I was laughing. What?
I was laughing.
So I'll lay it out. Daniel Bryan addressed Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for their attack on Shane McMahon the previous week. I had a feeling, and I tweeted this out in the beginning of his promo, that I could see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn kicking Bryan's ass pretty much the same way they did Shane's. Even if, you know, it just makes sense, sets up a tag team match at WrestleMania instead of Owens versus Zayn. I figure that's where they're going to go. I'm not the only one that thinks that, and that might be the overall popular notion right now. But I figured that would be such a solid way to reintroduce him to the ring, and it would get him sympathy right away, where, you know, it's the feel good story, but then he gets his ass beat, and then you're like, oh no, like he just came back type of thing. He was just cleared, and now he gets beat up by Owens and Zayn, who are the best heels in the company right now, Raw or SmackDown or NXT, whatever. And I didn't think that we were going to see the power bomb on the ring apron spot, but that was a hell of a bump that he took. You know, and it wasn't even that they beat him up and he couldn't even fight back. He fought back. I actually thought it was going to end with him kind of kicking both their asses, which could have been a good ending to SmackDown, but I don't think it would have had the lasting effect from week to week. You know, if that happens, then what? You know, like, he beat Owens and Zayn up by himself. Why would he even need Shane in like a tag team match type of thing? But, you know, he took a few big bumps. You gotta think that he knew exactly what he was doing. You know, like, sure, people backstage were like, and they were like right on him. There were people online that I know were like, oh my God, he wasn't supposed to fall like that. Like, shut up. I hate when people do that. I'm enjoying the angle right now because he fired Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, which, by the way, their profiles have been removed from WWE.com. So kayfabe is alive. Kayfabe is alive and well, nice. At least on March 21st, 2018. So I thought that was kind of cool. I think Kevin Owens had changed his name on Twitter back to Kevin Steen, and he lost his check mark. Instead of Fight Owens Fight, I believe it's Fight Steen Fight now. I saw that earlier. So he's not verified anymore, which kind of stinks for him. And I think Sami Zayn is using his El Generico Twitter account again. So they're telling this story really well. So, Bryan, did you watch all Smack, or did you at least watch that end of SmackDown last night?
Yeah.
And you said you were laughing, but so what'd you think of the whole angle?
Like you said, it's great storytelling, and they're milking it. They really are. And like you said, kayfabe is alive. I mean, it's not, because we're dissecting it right now, but yeah, at least they're trying. They're trying to be as authentic as possible with this storyline, and that's dope to see, man. I like that. I like these types of stories where people get fired and they're going all the way with it. They're going all the way. So it's cool. I like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn anyway. They're pretty funny.
Yeah, and I think their reaction was like Sami, Daniel Bryan stuck out his hand for a handshake after he fired him, and Sami like reluctantly shook his hand, and then, you know, Owens just couldn't, and he attacks him, and you know, Bryan fights back, but then it's almost like once Owens decided to attack Daniel Bryan, that Sami Zayn was like, okay, like, I'll jump in and beat him up. Like, he didn't have that like really go after him mentality. So that was kind of like, it's so subtle, the little things they do that you really come across to a lot of the fans that are so have been used to seeing that growing up. There were so many little things I remember growing up in wrestling that made sense as you piece them together. Very little things. So Sami Zayn shaking Bryan's hand and then kind of giving like a oh, here we go, after Owens starts attacking Bryan. It's like, to me, maybe it was just out of thin air that happened, but I thought it was fantastic. These guys know what they're doing when they're on the camera. So, you know, Adrian, what did you think of that angle?
Yeah, man, the amount of heat that they generated from that attack was awesome. And you call them the best heels in the business right now. I mean, you can't disagree with that. So, and I'm loving the Sami Zayn heel turn, the way he's acting, the little smile, that smugness that he has to him right now. So I think this angle could really elevate him. We kind of know Owens is kind of up there, but I liked seeing Zayn being elevated here, because when he was a babyface, he was kind of middling around in the middle card, not even in that mid card. So to see him as a heel now, to see him succeed like this, I'm loving it. And this angle, that this is the right way to go. You keep milking it every single week. even if they beat him down again, do the whole Roman Reigns thing, just come out to the crowd, do it again, just keep doing it until WrestleMania, and then Daniel Bryan gets his revenge.
Yeah, and I would have been completely okay with the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match at WrestleMania if they decided to go that route and just had one of them turn on each other based on some other thing. But I think this is great. It's a more high profile match just because if they do go that route, I don't think WWE has officially announced anything, and I don't think they will until TV. But we got to see how Bryan and Shane react next week. If Shane's even there, he wasn't there this year or this week, I should say. So will Bryan be back next week? The SmackDown coming up next week is going to be 2 weeks out from the pay-per-view. So I would assume both will be there because that last week you just got to have everything set. I don't think they would make a match less than a week in advance, but it's WWE, even though it's WrestleMania, you can never really predict what they're going to do. But I think it was a really good way to get heat, not only like more heat on Owens and Zayn, but to have them attack Bryan is really that's gonna set people off, and with good reason. He's the most popular guy in WWE. If they do go with the tag match at WrestleMania, who you got, Bryan?
Zayn and Owens.
Really?
By the way, Zayn is a great heel, but they need to change his music. His music is way too happy.
It's not like a heel. I'm kind of with you there.
It's definitely not heelish.
That is not heel music. That's not heel music at all.
It's such a cool song though, man. I love it.
It is. But that's not. No, they need to start it off happy, and then like change it up in the middle and make it real dark or something like that. They need to do that. They've done that with like heels before. Like, remember when Doink the Clown used to come out and the music was all happy?
There you go.
They need to do something like that.
Well, that's a good point. But at least they're not mixing both their themes together, as Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, like they do with tag teams that they just throw together sometimes. They are mixing their themes. And that's a good point. And so with Zayn and Owens, I'd have to go, the baby faces here. What about you, Adrian?
Yeah, I would think the baby faces, because this is when they would get their revenge. I think you have the heels, you just keep pounding on Bryan, pounding on Shane, and at WrestleMania, that's when the climax comes. So that's what I think.
Given the build up to this, I'm not so sure they just pull the trigger on a, Shane and Daniel feud right now, even though the tension between them was like really palpable, especially the last few months where you could kind of see maybe a turn happening. But at least at WrestleMania at this point, I don't think that's going to happen where, Shane, and Vaughn made a good point on this podcast weeks ago that Shane was the heel in this entire fiasco when it really, the story they were trying to say was maybe Bryan was supposed to be the heel because he was quote unquote helping Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, but really the whole time Shane was doing the heelish thing, had all the heel tactics going on. So, and that was very, very astute by Vaughn. He was one of the first people to really say that I've heard. And now people are in the most recent weeks are kind of picking up on that. They're saying the same thing. I'm not so sure that will fit anymore just because Bryan's been cleared. So I could totally see just like, hey, let bygones be bygones. Like we're friends again type of thing. Maybe Daniel Bryan goes to Raw if they have another superstar shakeup, see what he does over there. I probably wouldn't do it just because SmackDown can use the name value help. It would all depend who would defect to SmackDown, but that's a discussion for a different day.
I think it would be smart to keep Reigns and Bryan away from each other, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a good point. Speaking of Roman Reigns, I got to talk about this angle that happened on Monday Night Raw. I thought that was brilliant because you had Reigns for weeks bitching about Brock Lesnar not being there. And then finally, when he shows up, there's nothing Reigns can do about it. Bryan, did you see this angle at the beginning of Monday Night Raw?
Yes, I did.
What was your reaction to it?
Yes, I did. And that's like it's kind of weird, seeing Brock like stoop so low, because usually Brock just comes in and just beats him up anyway. But to have him wait until Reigns is handcuffed by the U.S. Marshals and then come down there and then kick his ass for like 5 minutes straight, there's a lot of funny stuff going on in WWE this week, and that was funny too. I laughed at that.
See, when you say something's funny, I think that's a compliment to WWE because, I thought it was funny too, but funny in a way that it made sense, and it's something that they can build off of, on Monday or through social media the rest of the week.
Right. And the way they're doing it, it can bring more fans like Roman's way as far as the sympathetic side, because they seem getting trashed by some guy that shows up when he wants. He takes shortcuts. He takes the easy way out. He beat Roman up when Roman was in handcuffs. So, yeah, they could use that angle and try to get the fans on Roman's side. I think from the sounds of things, it looks like the fans are growing tired of Brock, and they're starting to take heed to what Roman is saying as far as the part-time thing goes. So, yeah, it's intriguing. I'm actually interested in hearing what Roman has to say, because he's been going in the last couple weeks.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I like it when he talks trash. That's when he does his best promo.
Yeah, and it seems
really
like it's not scripted, but it might be. But it's the way he delivers it.
Right, when he's really speaking from the heart, when he's really shooting, I like that. I like that Roman Reigns. I don't like the fake baby face. I need you on my side, Roman. I don't like that guy.
That was a good point. Yeah, that was a good point you made about Brock. I think I said it. I don't know if I said it on Twitter or in a conversation I was having on social media, but I'm kind of over Brock. I'm over the aura. I'm over him being back in WWE. 2012, I was all for it. I was pumped up for it. I wanted to see him in WWE again. And, he was a monster. He lost his first match back to Cena, but whatever. They finally righted the ship and got him on a roll 2 years later. Won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. Killed Cena in that match. And just put him on a great run. I think that might have been his best run maybe in his career in WWE. I loved, his run in 2003 when he was a heel, but that run I think was his most it was his most dominant. And after that happened, after he lost, even though he re-signed with WWE, it just kind of hasn't been there for me with him. I'm ready for him to kind of go back to UFC. I would love to see him in UFC fights. I'm kind of over him at WWE at this point.
He doesn't look in UFC shape at all.
And we talked about that. He looked a little bigger, fat wise, on Monday. Not exactly muscle wise. So, Adrian, did you see this angle? What did you?
Yeah, I did. The last couple of weeks, I kind of felt like the WWE was trying too hard to get Lesnar booed and Reigns cheered and all that, but it worked on Monday. I thought the way that it was executed, and something else that I've noticed with Reigns, I feel like his promos have gotten better. The timing of it. I remember when he and Cena were feuding at No Mercy, and Reigns' promos were dog shit, basically. So his delivery has gotten better. So and on Monday, that was the first time I ever heard the crowd actually kind of cheer Reigns a little bit. So this angle is kind of working. The WWE is getting what they want, and I'm kind of surprised by it because this whole time I'm thinking, all right, they're trying too hard. The fans aren't this stupid. Reigns is going to continue to get booed, and then we're going to see it at WrestleMania where he gets booed again. But the angle worked on Monday, and we'll see if they can continue the way that they're going. So
yeah, and I think if they did this in their WrestleMania 31 match lead up, they wouldn't have needed the Seth Rollins cash in at the end, because I think people would have bought into Reigns at that point. And like, you know what? He's right. Like, we're actually going to cheer him now because Lesnar's never here and he's been champion since June, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not sure if it was a missed opportunity or if they just didn't think about it. I mean, they did re-sign Brock, and it would have been probably the best angle to go with if they did not re-sign Brock. But now, 3 years later, it seems like he's not coming back after his contract expires. I'm not sure if negotiations are going on, if they do want to keep him. And man, if I were them, I'd be like, all right, like go to UFC for a little bit. Maybe we'll bring you back for another match or two at a WrestleMania. I'd be fine with that. Also depends on the opponent too. But anything else on Lesnar and Reigns?
They have to cater too much to Brock. Brock has
too
many.
That's what it seems like.
He has too many stipulations in his contract that I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the back, they feel some kind of way about that. So it's probably killing morale. So I would think it would be WWE's best interest to just let it go. And
that's a good point. And I do think, and I will be the guy that says this, I do think he's earned that, but he doesn't need to be champion during that, I guess. And so I think, back when he won it last year at WrestleMania, maybe, and it's been reported that this has been the plan all along. And, it is what it is, if it was or not. But did he need the title the whole year in order for this to work? Like, I don't think so. He could have won it, back in SummerSlam or Survivor, one of the bigger pay-per-views, or whenever. Could have given Braun Strowman a run last year, just have Brock beat him for the belt. I don't think that would have hurt him because he didn't beat Brock anyway. But, having that and like for an entire year, I think that's kind of what made me go, all right, like I'm kind of over it. He's earned the right, I guess, through his career to have that type of contract, but I think it's WWE's mistake of putting the belt on him for that long.
Yeah, they even tried that before when he first returned. He was the champion and he wasn't competing at every pay-per-view, and it kind of didn't work. And then they did it again, which was surprising. I would have went with when they had Braun Strowman face Lesnar at No Mercy. That's when you could have maybe given Strowman the strap, have it for a couple months, maybe at Royal Rumble. That's when you have Lesnar win it back. You don't have to have him have it for the entire year. It's just stupid. That's that.
Yeah, and I know Vaughn and I agreed back when he first had the title after he beat Cena that it wasn't like such a bad thing to not have the champion on the show every week. I thought it was cool to like have him come in once in a while, and it seemed like he actually appeared more back then than he is now throughout like this past year. So maybe that was it. I don't have the stats on that to back me up, but it just feels like he was there more back then. I didn't like it. You build a story right. The champion doesn't need to be on every single week, every single show. I know for the paying audience, I'm sure that's who they want to see, but it's all about, the payoff at the end. And I think this, so far, the payoff of Reigns and Lesnar at WrestleMania will be great. Even Reigns is going to win. I mean, it'd be stupid of him not to after all this going on. But speaking of a main event at WrestleMania, Lesnar. I had something with Lesnar, but now I missed it. Oh well, I'll go back to it if I get it back up. But whatever. Doing Vaughn proud, right? So last week we talked about the Hall of Fame and some of our favorite memories, and we went through the list. We had Jeff Jarrett to top it off, Goldberg, Ivory, the Dudley Boys, and was there another wrestler? I'm not even sure. We didn't include Kid Rock. We didn't include Hillbilly Jim was in there a little bit. Yeah, we did. But we had another announcement of a Hall of Fame inductee this past week, and his name is Mark Henry. And I actually love this guy. I thought he was going to be a bust, even as a kid growing up. I thought he was lame. He didn't connect with the crowd in his feud with Jerry Lawler as a U.S. Olympian. He just did not connect. He's made quite a career for himself after that stumble in the beginning. And he's going in the Hall of Fame this year. And they had a video clip package for him. They had a lot of people, saying great things about him. He's probably the nicest man backstage, a lot of people have said. He had a career renaissance back in 2011, I want to say, where he just became this no nonsense. He won the ECW title. He won the World Heavyweight title, and just people fell in love with him. Maybe they finally knew not to expect high flying moonsaults and dives to the outside of the ring with Mark Henry. He was so good at what he did, and so good at the promos he did. He got so much better at promos. Man, the Hall of Pain was a great catchphrase. The promo where he retired, God, that was probably the best work he's ever done, at least in WWE. Bryan, Mark Henry, what are your thoughts on the newest class of 2018 Hall of Fame inductee?
It's cool. I'm just getting tired of getting phone calls congratulating me about this shit. Like, I'll cut that out. I mean, it's cool. It's
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
It's all good though. Mark Henry is cool. He was very loyal to the company. Been there for 2 decades, right? 20 plus years.
Yeah,
man. Did everything that the company asked. I didn't know this. I forgot about this. He does have a world title reign too. He has that under his belt. 2011, I believe, he won the world title. So, yeah, man, he was part of a dominant faction, Nation of Domination. He did the whole sexual chocolate bit. He took one for the team with that. He was a funny guy, entertaining guy, good in the ring, had different personas and characters throughout his career. And for the most part, they seem to all work for him. So he had a good run. He had a great run, and WWE deemed it worthy for him to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And can't argue with that.
Yeah. Adrian?
Yeah, I did some pre-show research on this, and when Mark Henry came into the WWE, he was supposed to be the next great African-American star. He was supposed to be the junkyard dog. And as you kind of explained, he came in and, well, he didn't really take off. He was kind of boring in the ring. He did a lot of those rest holds and stuff, the bear hug. I just remember the bear hug at Mind Games with Jerry Lawler. That was his first match. And I was just like, man.
In Philly, too. In
Philly, yeah. And I was just like, man, this guy's never going to get over. And then you had the sexual chocolate bit. But the career renaissance came back in 2011 when he did the Hall of Pain gimmick. Obviously, he feuded with a lot of the bigger guys like the Big Show and all that good stuff. So he got better, and that Hall of Pain gimmick really worked for him. And I couldn't believe that he actually had a credible title run. So that was cool and well-deserved, obviously. So congratulations to Mark Henry. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, and I was kind of sad when he cut off all his hair. I thought he looked badass with the dreads, but
nah.
Well, it was fading. Like the dreads were like starting to get back.
His hairline started at his ass. He needed to cut his hair. It was over. It was over for a long time.
I think I'm just jealous because I can't get my hair to do that, no matter how long I make it. But
he couldn't get his hair to do that. That's why he cut it off.
You know what? I'll say this. Some of the people WWE hooks me up with for interviews, they've been so great to talk to. I've heard stories of certain wrestlers with certain media. The guys I've interviewed: Mark Henry, Jinder Mahal, Daniel Bryan. They could not have been nicer. They could not have given me enough. They were so. I don't even really know how to explain it in terms that do it justice. They were kind of giving me their time and asking me for more questions, that type of stuff. Like, they were really engaging as, interviewers, interviewee. I loved it. He was probably one of the best interviews I've ever done. on my voice recorder right here, I have every interview I've ever done. I haven't deleted any. So part of me wants to go back and listen to the Mark Henry interview. I think it was like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, where there were rumors that he was going to retire. And there were rumors of him going to the Hall of Fame even then because, he was going to retire after WrestleMania or something like that. He never technically did. And I don't think he ever technically wants to. He's been adamant about that. In my interview and other interviews, he's said, I'm not going to say I'm going to retire. Will he say it eventually? Who knows? But he's going in the Hall of Fame. Everybody believes he's retired. And why not? Like his body's beat up. He's admitted that. He's had so many injuries too. There were plenty of times where WWE could have just kind of cut their ties with him because of his injury history, like they do with so many other wrestlers, but they stuck with him. He's a special guy, and it's going to be really cool to hear his Hall of Fame speech on that Friday night before WrestleMania. And I'm just kind of looking forward to it. I hope he gives a good shout out to Philly. I don't know if he will, but he's from Texas. He's got a big following there. So everyone would think WrestleMania 32, Dallas, they would have done it there. Would have been great for Mark Henry, but New Orleans, I don't think he's worried about where he's getting inducted. But like you guys said, congratulations to him. Great career. Great way to bounce back from. That's a good lesson, I think, for young wrestlers. If their career doesn't start off hot like they think they might, just look at Mark Henry, man. It took him a while to really find his groove, and he did everything. Like I think Bryan said, he did everything the company asked for, and it was just like such a great run from him for him. Yeah. And go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just agreeing with everything you said. Look at his career. Look at The Rock's career. That started off horribly. Mm-hmm. So careers like that, where you're supposed to be the guy. You come in with all this billing, and things fall flat. Look at, it's not the end of the world. You can bounce back. You can get a good gimmick. You can improve your ring. Your ring talent, you can improve on your skills, and you can continue to work at it. You get better, and you can be inducted into the Hall of Fame 20 years later. Look at Mark Henry. Started off wrong, ended off right.
Yeah, that's a good point. You talked about, The Rock's career. That might have been what they were looking for with Mark Henry. I think The Rock had already turned that stage in his career, and they put Mark Henry in that same spot with him. And maybe that rubbed off on him. Maybe that's what they wanted, just right. the Rock to kind of help him deal with, this. And man, he just made some great moments. Obviously, when he was Sexual Chocolate, that might be some of the funniest stuff he's done. But then he got into this real serious character towards the end of his career, the Hall of Pain. And I think people enjoy that a lot more than his, Sexual Chocolate character, just because of how legit it looked, how legit he was, and that was just awesome.
Remember even too how the camera would pan around him and just show the
yep.
Right.
Yeah, dude. That I'll give WWE credit. The way they present their superstars, when they really, there are times when they really present them well, and that's one of them. When they just do little things like that, you just like pan the camera around, like that. That's a little thing that goes a long way. Like, you remember that. I don't think they do that enough with the majority of their superstars. They pick one, or they pick like a tag team. They're like, we're going to do this with them. We're not going to do it with anyone else. I think they should kind of work on that with that. Not give everyone a unique like camera work entrance type thing, but make everyone look important, I guess I should say. That was going to be so. We talked about Mark Henry. Do you guys think the Hall of Fame's done? Like, no other. It's kind of stacked this year. I don't know if there's room for anyone else. If you would,
Virgil is getting inducted.
Well, how about a guy? Before we went on the air, he said he wanted to kind of just expand on this from Raw. What about Kane? What about Hall of Fame for Kane? Is that coming?
I mean, he's going to get in at some. He's definitely going to get in at some point. I won't be watching, but he's definitely going to get in.
Tell
he's
me.
had a 20-year. He's had a 20-year career too, and he's got a bunch of championships. You know, he's stood the test of time. He's been there for a while, man. So
Yeah.
Brothers of Destruction, and all that stuff, man. So took the mask off, put the mask back on, put a wig on the mask, put the mask back on. It's just a whole lot of variations that came. So my favorite one was the initial run with Paul Bearer and being the Undertaker's brother coming back to get revenge and all that stuff. So that was and then when he teamed up with him, Brothers of Destruction, that was pretty cool too. But yeah, Kane is definitely, he's a shoe-in. He's definitely getting in. If Jeff Jarrett is getting in, so Kane is a lock. That's no question at all.
Well, if Kane's getting in, why the hell was he on Raw this past week in the middle of a Cena Undertaker?
Oh, you mean right
feud?
now? You mean right? He's not getting in right now. No.
Well,
man,
so we were talking. Yeah, we were talking before we went on the air. We're gonna have Cena versus Kane this coming Monday on Raw. That's already set in stone.
Oh God.
For now, we'll see. He decided to come out during Cena's promo for the Undertaker, and everyone thought Undertaker was coming out. I thought he was coming out, and then we get Kane. Is it just another week to buy time? Will the Undertaker show up?
You know what
Monday?
that's like? You know what that's like? That's like thinking Beyonce's coming out, but Solange comes out. Like who? Who cares about Solange? We want to see Beyonce. What are we doing here?
Oh man, you know what? I'm just kind of hoping it's one of those things where they're biding time for another week. They'll have him show up Monday and chokeslam Cena or something. Maybe you got to think the match is happening. I don't think they would go this far with the Cena promos, but will we get the American Badass or the Dead Man? I think we talked about this last week.
That's definitely happening. I think the Undertaker's coming back, and I think he's coming back as the American Badass because if you notice, John Cena keeps bringing up the word respect. And one of Undertaker's funniest runs was when he felt like he wasn't getting respect. And he beat up Jim Ross and he was beating up all these people because he felt he wasn't getting respect. And that was his main thing. Give me respect. I want respect. And Cena keeps saying that. So I think that's going to be the thing. He's going to come back on the bike. He's going to have all that going for him. And it's going to be about respect. And that was one of the Undertaker's best runs to me. It was hilarious because you really think you don't get any respect? You're crazy.
Not true that.
People. It was hilarious. So I think that's going to be the Undertaker that shows up. At least I'm hoping. I'm trying to put two and two together here.
What do you think, Adrian?
Yeah, I wonder if this has been kind of a year in the making. Because if you remember WrestleMania last year, he put all of the hat, everything in the middle of the ring, like basically retiring. So, we thought he was retiring, but I guess he was just retiring the gimmick. And now he's going to come back as the American Badass. They obviously got Kid Rock going into the Hall of Fame, so you can kind of connect the dots there. So, the only thing, though, is I would have brought back Undertaker already. I mean, now you're only going to have 2 shows to build this match. But, Cena's been doing a great job promoing. But I would have brought him back this week. I would have brought him back already. Let's get this thing going.
Yeah, and maybe all we need is a week and then another one in between before the match. Will the Undertaker even say something? Like, he might not even say something. He might just show up.
He's not going to say anything.
Yeah.
That's what he did against Bray Wyatt.
Right. Why would you, if you're the WWE and you got a great guy on the mic in Cena that can literally carry a feud by himself verbally, why have the Undertaker come back sooner than you need to and pay him for appearances and stuff when you could just pay him for the big show or a couple shows before that and then pay him for the big show, which is WrestleMania? You got Cena. He's literally carrying this feud by himself verbally. Yeah. So why not just keep riding with that?
I want to see them spar. I want to see them go back and forth. That's what I
I
want to
think
see.
that.
But
Was
I get
Undertaker really was he really great on the mic though to go back
no,
and forth?
no, not really. That's never one of his strikes. You're right there.
No, I think, his promo at Raw 25 was kind of so maybe they're kind of bought in their times. Like, we don't need a promo right now from The Undertaker. They could do a pre-taped thing. They could do a video before and edit it. That would make sense to me. A live appearance will probably obviously get more crowd reaction, obviously. But
if you remember, one of the best promos ever was Triple H and The Undertaker, and they did not say a word to each other.
Yeah, and that went on for weeks too, and that was awesome. I agree with that. That was great. Was that the year Undertaker cut his hair off, or was it the one after? I don't remember, but I was really pissed that time when he cut his hair off. I was like, what the hell? That's the only complaint I had about that entire thing.
Because he said Triple H beat him down so bad.
Let's talk about the hairline with Mark Henry. That's why the Undertaker cut his hair off. His hairline was friggin' ridiculous. But we got 5 minutes left. It's been an awesome show, and by the way, we will dub in Vaughn's comments on the Daniel Bryan comeback. He sent me an audio clip about a minute and 15 seconds long. So I'm gonna squeeze that in during our Daniel Bryan talk. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you already heard it. So we'll move forward. I will want to touch on this before we get out of here. The greatest Royal Rumble. Bryan, have you heard anything about this other than what I said before the show?
Nope.
Okay. So the WWE is throwing the greatest Royal Rumble. That's what it's called. That's what the event is called. On April 28th, I believe. It's a Saturday. As of today, I read a report from PW Insider that it will be broadcast on the WWE Network. That was the hang-up. I think it was announced 2 weeks ago or something like that. Or actually, no, it might have been last week. I don't remember. I tweeted about it as soon as I found out. I was the first one. Yep. I read their WWE corporate press releases and whatnot, so I'm a nerd. But it was I tweeted it out before it was any on any of the big sites. They're going to make this literally the biggest event, maybe internationally ever, even bigger than WrestleMania when it was in Canada. Who knows? 50-man Royal Rumble. 50-man Royal Rumble match. All the big stars are supposed to be in it. AJ Styles, Roman Reigns, John Cena. I'm not sure if they mentioned The Undertaker, but I would assume he would make an appearance just because of how they're really pushing this. 7 title matches. As of this recording on March 21st, no women's matches have been announced. We're not sure if that's going to change. I know Saudi Arabia laws have prevented women from performing in public up until last year. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, if they will eventually announce another. Like the 7 title matches are the Universal title, WWE title, Intercontinental title, US title, Cruiserweight title, and both tag team championships. So no women's title was in the press release. We're not sure if they're even going to be on the show. If it's broadcast on the network, it might be like a 3-hour show, maybe a 4-hour show. Who knows? But honestly, this is the start of what's reportedly going to be WWE's attempt to really have shows like this that are big shows in Saudi Arabia for the next 10 years. They have reached an agreement with a media company from that country where they're going to do this. I don't know how many times per year, if it's going to be like once a year, or if it's going to be, or really honestly what it's going to be. There haven't been many details released other than the original press release and the report today of PW Insider saying it's going to be on the network. If WWE makes this into as big as they seemingly want to, is this going to be the biggest show of the year, Bryan?
Yeah, I guess so. Which
Bigger
is
than WrestleMania?
That's kind of weird. And then
it is.
When we get to the Royal Rumble in January, what's that going to be called? The normal Royal Rumble?
Yeah, you know what? In Philly, we should be pissed because we just had it.
Yeah.
Right. Like what's that gonna be called? Like in January, get ready for the same old regular ass Royal Rumble. Well, I don't get it. But I guess it's huge. I mean, they just signed a deal, so they want to make a big splash. So I, I'm gonna watch it, definitely. It sucks that the women may not get to perform. I don't know what's up with that, but
Yeah.
yeah, if looks like they're going all out for this one.
Yeah, I had
So
read.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I had read something, maybe a couple days ago that last year they had a women perform at a concert for like the first time ever in the country's history. So maybe they're still working that out. Maybe they're talking about what they're going to do with the women. Kind of weird to have to go into an area like that, and you're going through this women's revolution, and you're not going to allow them to
Yeah.
expand on that internationally. They had a match. I think it Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks at the uh, Emirates. So that was like their first match ever, women in that, well, WWE match, I should say, women's WWE match. So I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm not gonna, not watch it if the women aren't involved, but I think it's really stupid to not have them involved or to even go into an area like that when your talent's not going to be treated equally by the country that you're in. What do you think, Adrian?
Yeah, I agree with that. So I'm not going to really echo anything you said there, but here's what I will say. When they tried to do the 40-man Royal Rumble back when Alberto Del Rio won it, I did think there was too many participants in it, that it was kind of diluted. So now you're going to have it with 50. So I'm curious to see how that works out. So we'll see. And every year, I wonder what they'll do. Maybe they'll try different gimmick matches. I don't know. Maybe next year we get War Games in Saudi Arabia. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that.
That's a good thought. Maybe next year it'll be like you said, War Games, or maybe they bring back other WCW matches like the Chamber of Horrors or something. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But in the coming weeks, we'll be talking about this as more information is given. It'll be interesting to see if they talk about it on the air on Raw, SmackDown, if they really treat this as like a pay-per-view that you need to watch. Like who knows? I didn't catch all of Raw this past week, so I don't know how much they do mention it on air. But we'll see coming up. I'm not going to expect them to mention a lot before WrestleMania, but after WrestleMania, I'm sure that they'll be hitting us over the head with the greatest Royal Rumble announcements. That's it, guys. That's all I have. We are out of time. That was a great conversation. I loved, Daniel Bryan being back. Obviously, wrestling fans are kind of in a WrestleMania is looking stacked. We talked about that last week. We'll have our preview not next week, but the week after our WrestleMania preview. So stay tuned for that. Adrian, plug away.
Yeah, check out my stuff. The Bitter Birds on YouTube. Check out my stuff on PhillyInfluencer.com. Eagles reporter there. Nick Bacone, check out his stuff too on PhillyInfluencer.com.
Oh,
do that. So check out the website. Check out everything.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah, there you go. We only got an hour though, so I'm not going to keep plugging.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, go to BryanIsleyLive.com or upcoming shows, events, my blog where I rant about nothing, and go to Bryan Isley Live at Bryan Isley Live on Twitter, at Bryan Isley on Instagram, and search the Bryan Isley Show on Facebook.
Nice. Can't get out there tonight, but I know you're doing something interactive. If anyone's watching live, make sure you check that out.
On Facebook Live, I'll be posting it for all my friends and all my fans. I'll be posting on my page for Facebook Live. We're doing an interactive open mic since the comedians in the Philadelphia and South Jersey area can't make it out to hit a stage tonight because of the weather.
Snowmageddon.
Comedy to you. Yeah, it's snowing pretty bad out here. We'll be bringing the comedy to you via Facebook Live. So send me a friend request on Facebook or like the Bryan Isley Show. The videos will be posted there.
Yeah, Facebook's in the news for all the wrong reasons, but I can agree that Bryan Osley is the shit. So make sure you send him a friend request. Yeah, you got it. You got it. You can follow me at Nick Bacone on Twitter. Follow us at Shooters Radio on Twitter. I retweet and post like these videos I do during the week with wrestling or whatnot. So stay interactive with us. Tweet us, tell us things you want us to talk about on the show. We'll hit on it. And also on Facebook, facebook.com/straight-shooters. I'll be posting this video up there shortly every week. So make sure you check that out. Vaughn Johnson, you can follow him at Vaughn M. Johnson on Twitter. Adrian, did you say your Twitter name?
Oh, no, I didn't. At Adrian Fedkiw. That's Adrian, ADRIAN FEDKIW, since nobody knows how to spell the damn thing.
Yeah, that's true. It is not at the Bitter Birds anymore. So
no, not at
you better fix that.
Put my name on there.
Yeah, that's right. I like it.
Yeah.
You can, so for Vaughn Johnson, at Vaughn M. Johnson, follow him. Also, we are on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Player FM, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, YouTube, obviously. Any your favorite podcast app, we're on there. Make sure you subscribe to us, rate and review us when you can. We love the reviews. We've gotten some really great feedback, and that's what keeps us going. So do that. Make our egos a little bit bigger. That'd be great. And we'll sit here and talk wrestling every week. So for Adrian Fedkiw, Bryan Osley, Vaughn Johnson, who's in the Poconos right now enjoying some Eagles stuff. Sure, maybe they're chilling with the Super Bowl trophy. I don't know. I am Nick Bacone. You can hit us up next week. We will be live, same time, same spot, Wednesday, 7 p.m. We'll be on YouTube Live. So catch us again next week, and we'll see you then.